recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at Zed Games AU. Hello. You're listening to Zed Games. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is
Hazel.
And
Peter.
Oh, I feel like my energy was like way up here, and then you went like kind of like, ooh, it's.
Well, you need to set my energy levels, Zahra. If you want energy, I can give energy. My name is Peter, and I am here with Zahra and Hazel in the studio for Zed Games this evening, and I hope you have been having a fantastic gaming week, everybody.
I've been having a fantastic gaming week, Peter. Have you been having a fantastic gaming week, Hazel?
I have.
Yay!
Listeners, I hope you've also been having a fantastic gaming week, and we've got a ton to talk about tonight. We've got the week in gaming news. We've also got to talk about an event we got to see over the weekend. It was Super Slay, and also...
It was local, it was game orientated, and it may have been festive.
It may have been festive.
Yes.
And then we've also got a little review just to round out the night, but... Look, I reckon we should just hop straight into it.
Jump straight in.
Absolutely.
Let's go. News, let's go.
This week in gaming news. Remember Beyond Good and Evil 2? Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development. That's it. That's the news. Ubisoft have reassured us that they haven't forgotten about it and they're still working on it, which is great because it was first announced in 2008, kind of disappeared, reappeared with a trailer in 2017, and then was kind of totally silent since 2018. There's been some concerns about its development since Emile Amrel, creative director, passed away early this year, but Ubisoft has reassured that it is still in the works, and the 20th anniversary edition of Beyond Good and Evil, which was accidentally announced early in Twitter before the tweet was deleted, has launched digitally on the 25th of June. The remaster is supposed to contain some more of Jade's past and other content to tie into the second game. There will be a physical copy and a collector's edition with pre-orders for those kicking off 12th of July. $19 billion. That's how much Steam users have collectively spent on games they've never played. So, congratulations everyone. I know each and every one of you helped to contribute to this remarkable achievement. This is a bit of a guesstimate as only 10% of Steam accounts are public, but that 10% was responsible for at least 1.9 billion USD. Gamer Age. What do you do if you have a dispute with another player in an online game? Most of us probably try to ignore it and move on. Maybe block them. Maybe stoop to the level. You probably didn't fly to a different state, buy a hammer and a flashlight, break into a home and attack said player in real life. Well, Edward Kang from New Jersey allegedly did just that, flying to Florida to confront a player he had an argument with in Archage, an online fantasy game. The two were found in a struggle by the player's stepfather, who heard the player cry for help. Both the player and Edward were taken to a nearby hospital, with the player having severe head wounds, but both will be okay. Edward is facing charges of breaking and entering and assault. When he asked how much time he might serve, Leaper, county sheriff, allegedly responded with, "I would say, Mr. Kang, it's going to be a long time before you play video games again. So next time, just take a walk. Not to the hardware store." War Thunder apologizes. Gaijin Entertainment, developers of the free-to-play multiplayer War Thunder, have officially apologized for accidentally including imagery from the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster in some key art. The Challenger disaster was an event from 1986 where the Space Shuttle broke apart soon into its flight, killing all 7 crew members. War Thunder players noticed how an image of the disaster lined up with artwork in the Seek and Destroy wallpaper, with one person overlaying a photo from the disaster with the wallpaper. Hey guys, please accept our apologies for this. The picture was part of an aerial explosion reference pack used by our artists, and the context was lost. We'll change the key art on Monday, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again, said community manager Oxy. In the past, the War Thunder community has managed to leak classified military documents onto the forums, often to win arguments or to make suggestions with the developers. So attention to detail is definitely a common trait. News nibbles! Nintendo Switch Sports has had a few updates since it's launched, adding golf, and soon, basketball. The motion control should allow players to pass, shoot, and dribble. Sylvie Nightshade, a software engineer, made a Stardew Valley mod that adds a hardcore mode to the game. What does that mean? Well, if you open the Stardew Valley wiki, your farm will be deleted. Ryan Lewis, a recent Cornell Tech's graduate, created a program that converts the data from Google Maps into Minecraft worlds. The program first converts the data into voxels, and each voxel is turned into a Minecraft block, with the help of an algorithm, accurately recreating buildings, roads, terrain, and more. And now for some upcoming games. June 27th, that's today, brings Luigi's Mansion 2 HD for the Nintendo Switch, and Neo Sprint for the PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Xbox Series X. June 28th brings Gigantosaurus Dino Sports for the PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Xbox Series X, and Spy Anna, Operation Memories, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC. July 2nd will see Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail for the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, and The First Descendant for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. That's it this week in gaming news.
Thank you so much, talented news presenter who shall not be named. That was very insightful. I have a question for you two, Hazel and Peter.
Yes.
How many games do you have in your Steam library that you haven't played?
Next
Two.
question.
Two? Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a guess, or are you sure about that?
No, 2.
Two.
Yes.
Okay, slay.
I don't buy games that I don't play.
You know what?
These 2 were gifted to me.
I've bought some games on sale, and I've gotten some games as gifts that I never ended up playing, but my Steam library is actually quite small, so...
My Steam library is ginormous because I have it merged with Caroline's Steam library, which is also ginormous. And I think between the two of us, we've probably contributed a good $1,000 to that $19 billion worth of Steam games that have been left unplayed. But yeah.
I just pulled up my stats. I have 144 games.
You have 144 games?
Yes. And I know that there's 2 on there that I haven't played.
Slay! Congratulations,
I can't say
Peter.
I've finished them all, but I've played them.
Finishing is different.
Yeah.
Finishing is different. If this was based on games you finished...
I think less than 0.001% of most players have finished. Finished.
Yeah, like...
Question marks.
When is a game finished? Is it when you 100% it? Is it when you get all the achievements? Is it... When is it?
It's when you're done with it.
It's when you're done with it.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do love the idea of flying cross-country just to kick some guy over a video game, and we did check, and Archage is a Korean MMO, which I absolutely believe that somebody would get in a real-life fight about.
Yep.
Yes, I understand that people can be quite heated. Mm-hmm. I've heard many stories from, like, say, WoW or what's
any
another
game that you have to
coincidence.
Final Fantasy XIV is lower, so yeah.
Archage actually shuts its servers down today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Weird coincidence. It was announced like 2 months ago.
Okay. Well,
interesting.
That
But yeah, I could definitely understand it for games that you have to invest a lot of time grinding, a lot of time getting to where it needs to. Yeah.
All right. Well, while we sort of like marinate on the legacy that Archage has left, I guess.
Who are we?
We're Zed Games. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is Hazel and Peter. And we're here to talk about Queensland Games Festival, which was held at the Brisbane Powerhouse just this Saturday on the 22nd. Queensland Games Fest is an annual event where game developers from all over Queensland come together to share their projects with the public. Previously known as Go423, it's had some humble-ish beginnings in 2014, but has quickly grown into an incredible, huge event held at the Brisbane Powerhouse. Zed Games, that's us. Yep. We're stoked to be invited to host a hot seat for the past few years. It's a series of short interviews that are held up on the stage with developers that goes on throughout the day. And it was a big day.
It was.
It
was absolutely the biggest year yet. It was massive. There was so many new games there that nobody had ever seen before. Like, the world had never seen before.
Yeah.
Like, these were the first time anybody could play them.
There were about over 30 teams from all over Brisbane, Queensland, even a few from outside of Queensland, who all came together to Brisbane on Saturday to share their games with the public.
For free as well.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
There was the markets being held outside the powerhouse, and we had hundreds of people. I'm very comfortable saying that hundreds of people come in to check things out, play. They brought their kids.
Mm-hmm.
They got involved with game lofts like coloring competition and stuff. And people were just checking things out, chatting with the developers. And there is honestly a lot to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we'll just start with talking a bit about the board games that were on display there, because it's not just video games. There are analog games as well, card games, tabletop games.
So many board game developers in Brisbane. Yep. Having previously worked for one, rip Half Monster. Respect. But yeah.
I didn't know you used to work for Half Monster. That's cool.
We were trying to push into the sales market during COVID.
Okay.
It was, American sales market during COVID.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. Theirs went along a lot longer than ours. But there is a lot of really good board game developers in Brisbane with so many creative ideas.
Yeah, and just to sort of give you an idea of the board games that were on display, we had, oh my gosh, I have the list here somewhere.
I can start us off, because the very first interview we did on the day was with Martin Wallace of Wallace Designs.
Yes.
Nice.
Showing off his new game, Casus Belli, which is Latin for a justification for war. It's a 4X space strategy game with an interesting twist, which is that it's based around maintaining peace and finding justification for war.
Right.
It was the first time it had been shown off in public, and Martin is an award-winning game developer.
Mm-hmm.
He is the creator of what is currently the #1 rated board game on BoardGameGeeks.com.
Nice.
Brass.
Yeah.
And he graced us with his presence, which was pretty cool. We also had a first-time game designer there, a young lady named Jade. I can't remember her last name right now, but
Catania.
Say it again.
Jade Catania, who created Epic Garden with her brother while they were traveling around Australia when they were kids, literally teens. I think that she started developing this game when she was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's 17.
And has it
released.
It's published.
It's published. You can buy it. You can play it.
Pretty incredible. Very impressive. It's such a cute game as well. I really wish I had time to play it.
That's the disadvantage part of board games.
Yeah.
You've got to get to a place in person to generally play them.
But it's
always more fun.
It's designed to teach people about gardening and farming and everything. It's cool.
Yeah, it's about managing surplus resources, which I think is a pretty interesting approach to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of I can't really say more without actually playing it, but it just a very creative perspective, I feel. We also had Fire Noodle Eating Champs and Coffee Up from Jason Tam. Coffee Up is a card game where you have to memorize the orders of the regulars, which, as someone...
I was going to say
this is that you are a barista.
You are a barista.
Yep, this is
you work at a
flashbacks.
cafe, and you have to memorize the orders of your regulars, otherwise they get upset.
Yes.
And if anyone has ever worked in hospo, I'm sure you have a few orders that are still committed to memory.
Yeah.
Buy this game and give it to your now
white.
really annoying CEO boss that doesn't understand that you tried really hard, and see if they get it right. This is I did better than you at a job thing. You try it. Here's a shoe. Wear it for a day.
Did you have any like particular highlights for the board games, Peter?
Not this year. I did get a chance to speak to a little of them throughout my afternoon in the event sort of idea, but I didn't get a chance to sit down and play any of them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's going to be a recurring theme. We were so busy trying to get everybody on stage for interviews that we basically didn't play anything. And we're a little bummed about that.
I got to play a few things, but nowhere near anywhere, like 10% of them at max, maybe.
Yeah, everyone was, also like the developers themselves were quite busy, especially with the board games, because they have to teach players, often have to like coach them through like how to play. Yeah, you don't have an
automated tutorial that you can just stick someone's controller in a hand and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's no wonder why like the board gamers are usually quite exhausted towards the end of the day.
Imagine how exhausting it is to teach your friends to play a board game with you, and then imagine doing that all day, and it's your board game.
To board game developers, get a video recording of the tutorial so people that aren't playing currently can watch and learn how to play so they understand before they sit down.
Ooh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
It's what I used to do at Half Monster when I was at market stalls trying to push out games for Christmas sales and whatnot. It's just like, okay, I'm not explaining this game 1,700 times tonight. Here's a video, play from my phone. They can learn how to play.
Yeah, I did. I did take some spot interviews of as many devs as I could, which will be airing over the next few weeks on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But you can very distinctly hear everyone's voices getting just gradually more hoarse, gradually a little bit more like, I'm still bringing the energy, but I'm starting to run on fumes.
The gravel is starting to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's no wonder. I know for a fact that a lot of these developers were up until the wee hours of the morning, just trying to make sure that the game is in the absolute best state it could be.
You're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games on 4ZZZ.
Oi mate, you're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
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 Got a bit carried away.
You're listening to Zed Games. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is Hazel and Peter. Say hello, you two.
Hello, you two.
Slay. Love that. So welcome back, listeners. If you're just tuning in now, we were talking about the Queensland Games Festival, which was held at the Brisbane Powerhouse on the 22nd, and it was a chocker day. You two had to do a lot of interviews. Zed Games gets to host the Hot Seat throughout the day, which is a series of short, casual interviews throughout the entire day. Hazel, did you have any favorites? Any interesting games?
Any interesting games?
Any games that just sort of caught your attention, or you just thought slayed?
I am very keen to get my hands on the Fertile Crescent.
Yes.
I have not played it at all. It's out now, so I might try and get a review copy from the developers, but...
Hint, hint, no nudge.
No pressure.
Yeah. Although Ronnie might fight me for that, so we'll see.
Fair. There might have to be an arm wrestle or two.
I was very intrigued by what Montrose Games brought this year.
Yes.
An audio-only game called The Ghost of the Witch, which was made in the style of... a type of thing that used to exist in America. 1-900 numbers were basically like a paid service you could call up. It was almost like pay-per-view TV. You call up and you would navigate through menus using the keypad of the phone. And I mean old school.
Yeah, they had like listeners, they had like a land phone, like one of those a landline phone.
You had to plug it into the wall and not to charge it.
Not to charge it.
Just to even have it work.
And if you had a call, you don't have internet. Oops.
Yep. But basically, the only controls for the game are a virtual version of a phone keypad, because this is a browser-based game, and the only gameplay that you get is audio. So you have various characters reading stories and conversing with you, and then you have to kind of choose your own adventure using the phone keypad. Or you have to solve puzzles. Using just the phone keypad, and it's encouraged to have a pen and paper with you to write down notes as you go, because otherwise you will probably lose track and not be able to solve puzzles.
A bit like those text adventures where you head north. Oh, I forgot what was behind me.
Montrose are they're a game design duo who do everything basically for free on Newgrounds, and they're like long time community members. They're great.
They're always coming up with something funky.
I swear they have like multiple new projects every year, which, granted, they are very seasoned developers making web games, so like that's possible, but it's so impressive.
Machines.
The work
They're just machines over there.
They have an idea and they nail it.
Yeah.
How about you, Peter? Did you have...
there was several different games that caught and grabbed my attention for most of the day sort of idea. I loved Delirium in regards to the Stardew
Delvarium?
Sorry. Delvarium. Terraria crossed with Stardew, top down, but Terraria more so for the mechanics and things like that.
And with a soundtrack from Jeff Van Dyke.
Indeed.
The legendary game composer.
Indeed. I loved Caddo's Post Office and the anthropomorphic cat
so
and the
beautiful.
cute and the for no one that knows, I have a cat named Dart and he does the same thing to bush turkeys in my backyard. It's adorable.
Yeah. For listeners, cats like to do the thing at birds.
Yeah.
It's
wow,
great.
This is great radio.
It is. The one that really caught my attention though was Vivid Tracks, a third-person platformer that was from a university team sort of idea, close to my heart because I did the same sort of thing for my game, and they're trying to take it through to full release. Third-person platform based on Australian culture and environments from like the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, that kind of sort of thing, and it was really, really polished for where it was. I was really impressed.
So cool.
We didn't get a chance to interview them because they were so busy on the day, and rightfully so. But Greenheart Games, the creators of the well-known game Game Dev Tycoon,
yes,
they brought their second ever published game, although it's not published yet, Tavern Keeper, and it was a massive hit.
Yeah.
Didn't get anywhere near putting my hands on it. Didn't get to talk to the devs.
No, it was
completely
busy
crowded,
all day there.
like everyone, like kids, adults, grown-ups who are actually kids, like just kind of like everyone wanted a piece of that tavern.
Yep.
But Peter did manage to score one of their business
I got some
cards,
loot. Yep.
Which is actually a bar coaster.
I know.
With the promo stuff for the game on
I know. The art looks amazing sort of idea. It looks like it fits properly within a tavern.
It's
Only thing I
perfect.
can suggest is chuck a QR code on the back so I can scan it and show people every single time.
We had multiple frog-based games.
So
many
had
frogs.
Frog Rain, a game where the premise was inspired by seeing the the sign at the bottom of a hiking route that's got all of the little local frog species on it and other amphibians, and turning them into characters.
Yes, and it is a beautifully, beautifully detailed game. Like the sprites that they've created, like it's all like pixel.
You are the prince of the frog kingdom.
You are the prince of the frog kingdom. And
the green tree frog kingdom, from what I had understood. Because there is multiple different frog kingdoms.
And Frog Rain actually showed up at Queensland Games Fest last year. So we got to see like a year of growth, like what it does for a game. And it looked great last year. But this year it was just stunning.
They've actually worked on it a lot more.
Absolutely fantastic.
Improved it massively.
Yeah.
Complete overhaul
of
the project.
The other frog game.
Ribbit.
Ribbit.
Which is a 3D like mascot platformer where you're a frog. And
you're a frog.
You use your tongue as a grappling hook.
Yes, and you're escaping from a French chef who wants to cook you up.
And his name is Jacques.
Jacques, the French chef. Makes sense.
Yes.
Very popular with speedrunners, from what I understand.
Yes.
Yes.
What else have we got? We've also got
what was the one with the roly-poly?
We had a few multiplayer games as well, like Servernauts.
Yep.
Which
Servernauts is about being little robots who work at a server and
in
you
space.
have to carry around big tubes of like rocket fuel and stuff.
Yeah, and
Very big,
different
overcooked
character colors and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was also what else? They had at the door, not the door, at the desk, they had like a little poll for which character you thought was most likely to commit crimes.
Oh, yes.
I voted green because green just kind of looked a little menacing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But red was just like missing. Like just straight up missing. So I think there's something suspicious there.
Yeah.
We also had Esbug Games.
Ooh, yes.
This was
of Webbed, which was a smash hit when it came out. A little 2D platformer about being a spider.
Yep.
And this time they brought Isopod, a webbed spin-off.
And
where you are a little roly-poly isopod bug, and
roly-poly.
It's 3D this time,
Mm-hmm.
and you roll around, and you have to foil the fire ant colonizers.
yeah.
And oh man, the movement just looks amazing.
Oh, it's like you're a roly-poly bug, so you roll.
You roll, you
and
spin, you fly.
yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm a little pinball, and I'm just gonna. That's me.
I believe there was
doing
questions on the
stunts.
day about making a plush toy of the roly-poly.
Which I still think they
Yes.
should do.
Yes.
Yes, because they made
they
plushies
had
of the spider.
plushies.
Okay.
For webs.
Everybody, invest in this game.
Everybody, we're gonna
Isopod, a
manifest.
webbed spin-off story.
Manifest isopod plushies.
Everyone in
Isopod
Brisbane
plushies.
And it needs to have a little bit of a Velcro. It needs to have a little bit of a Velcro overlap so you can roll it up and actually roll it across the ground.
I got so excited. I inhaled too hard and choked. Because, if you could just roll it up, that'd be
So
incredible.
you got a little one that just sit on your bed and it's big, and you roll it up and actually Velcro it together so you can roll it across the floor.
We also had some bigger players, I guess.
We had Bears in Space.
We had Bears in Space,
Released
and they
earlier this year,
brought
and
Mr. Bear himself,
They
Mr.
did?
Bear Space. They
Isn't
have
the
a
bear
mascot.
a female?
I think the bear mascot that we saw is technically a lady bear.
Yes.
Oh, my
character.
apologies.
A male human, but a female bear.
Right.
Because
Miss
the bear is called Bear
Space.
Tana.
Is she,
Bear Tana.
is she single?
I
At all?
mean, maybe.
I need to find out. Oh my gosh. What else? We Max Mustard was there. Paul's reviewed that fairly recently.
Yep. Really good VR title.
There was On Point as well, which is another shooter, another VR
Yeah,
shooter.
it's a VR shooter that is
Kind of like Point Blank.
It's,
Yeah.
It's designed to be like a light gun game where the controllers are light guns that fit over your Quest VR controllers.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome concept.
Yeah. We also had Memento by
Memento was fun if you liked unpacking.
Yes.
Memento is another good one, but it's got multiple different stories with different rooms where you're, picking up items from and taking them with you to the next area, and based on what you're kind of doing in that period or what relationships you might have, you might want to prioritize certain items over others to establish stories with characters. And
to top off the day, we also had awards presented by Screen Queensland, as well as a People's Choice Award. Who won Best in Show?
Best in Show went to Go-Go Town by Prideful Sloth.
Ooh.
And Best Emerging was Key Fairy by Owl Machine.
That game
They
did look interesting, but
also-
I didn't get a chance to actually go down and look at it at
was
all.
very, very,
But I loved
very
the art.
popular.
Yes.
It was a bit of a sleeper hit. I don't think anybody had really played or heard of the game before Saturday, or if they had, I hadn't
It
heard
made
of it.
an impression, that's for sure.
And it walked away with both the
Best Emerging.
Best Emerging Game and the People's Choice Award, which was voted on by all of the attendees.
Yes.
The public.
And also we had a couple of runner-ups for the People's Choice Award, one of which was Epic Gardens by Jade, Nia. That was that board game we were talking about earlier about farming and stuff.
Yep.
And we also had, oh my gosh, somebody help me remember. Was it Memento?
It was Memento.
Memento, I think,
who
was
also
the other
won
follow-up.
runner-up.
Yep.
Yes.
And that was just...
It was a busy day, but it was a fantastic day.
It really was. And we've been doing this for a few years now, and it just makes me
I am sad that it's only once a year.
I'm sad it's only once a year. I'm also kind of glad it's only once a year.
I was going to say, I can also understand why it is only once a year.
I'm sure all of us on Sunday were just completely vertical. And we didn't even have a game to show.
No.
We were just there to talk to people. And yes, talking is a lot of work. But
that it is.
I just want to give a small round of applause to all the developers who came together to show their games, because stunning, absolutely
and
gorgeous.
All of the volunteers and other people that donate their time and efforts into making this a fantastic event for the Queensland development community and gaming community overall. Thank you all.
The volunteers. It was amazing, and I can't wait for next year.
Yeah. It's just getting bigger and better and more exciting and more slay every year. So who knows what's next year going to bring? Who knows? I'm keen for it. We are Zed Games. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is Hazel and Peter. Hello.
Hello.
Actually, we should turn the energy down a little bit, because I've got a review.
Woo. Oh, hang on.
The review is Linear, an inner-light game developed by Infinity Games. Linear is a puzzle game where you need to draw a line of light, or rather electricity, from point A to point B. When you succeed, everything lights up and you get to proceed. As you progress, each puzzle grows more complicated and obstacles and tricks are introduced to make things more challenging. For example, electricity can't really double back on itself. This might be news to some of you. It needs to flow in a direction. It needs to be a complete circuit, so it can't have gaps. And each puzzle is a bit like a maze, where you need to find the correct path or create the correct path. On top of this, you also have 3 fireflies that you can collect in each puzzle. They're collectible, but they do play a role in this game. You see, each puzzle acts like a chapter, a very brief chapter in a story. You start the adventure, and through that adventure you follow a character too. The first one follows a father in a boat after an awful storm, travelling past all this destruction in a little boat. The puzzles illuminate a series of houses on the water, and throughout the adventure you learn about this man and what he's so apprehensive about. He wants to check on his son after the storm, but they haven't spoken in years. You can watch that play out yourself. It's a beautiful 2D mobile game with puzzles that are sure to be quite challenging. I felt very challenged. But sometimes it just took a bit of trial and error. It does have some pretty aggressive ads on the free version, but it's not too rough if you play a few puzzles at a time. So if you're just needing something to pass the time on the bus during your commute, I highly recommend Linear. It's a very beautiful game, very atmospheric, quite simple in terms of puzzles, but sometimes
that's what you want. You don't want really difficult puzzles. You just want something simple that you can go, hey, I solved it.
Yeah, and it's like the little stories that you sort of uncover as you progress through the puzzles is just kind of like, oh, that's an unexpected feeling. I feel for this silhouette of a man. It's a beautiful little game. How are you two tonight?
I'm so good.
I'm still feeling fantastic.
You're still feeling fantastic?
I am.
I had dinner before the show instead of after, so I'm just...
that makes sense.
Oh, you know what? That's probably
satisfied.
I do feel like I've had more energy throughout this episode. And I think it's because we ate before the show as opposed to after.
Right, so bring you food before show. Got it.
I kind of wanted to sort of bring up, because we talked a little bit about remasters right at the top of the news with the Beyond Good and Evil 20th anniversary remaster that just came out.
And the announcement they're still working on number 2.
Yes.
Because we can't forget about it.
Nope.
Hazel, you've been sort of taking me through Mass Effect.
A guided tour of Mass Effect.
Listeners, I've never really played Mass Effect before. I tried. I got
Until
lost.
Now.
Until now. And you two were just telling me about some of the little tricks that they did
changes.
Did to
technology limitations that were overcome by developers and whatnot for the original game.
Yeah.
Mass Effect was kind of groundbreaking at the time for a lot of reasons. The branching storyline, so many options for how the story can play out if you just I mean, it's still the same story, but you can screw up real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's very well known in regards to its limited ending. The branching paths that get you to those ending points, there is a lot of different options.
Yeah.
And I still wonder how many people have actually completed a suicide run.
I mean, it's called a suicide run for a reason. It's a bit rough.
Yeah.
It's,
but it's so interesting when you do it.
It's very strange that there's so many versions of this game that you can play just by making stupid choices or great choices.
Or incorrect good choices.
Incorrect good choices?
Yes.
What was really groundbreaking at the time was the way that they dealt with loading screens, in that there basically aren't any. They're all hidden.
Yeah.
You get in an elevator, and for some reason the elevator takes like 2 minutes to get to the next
2 to 3
floor.
minutes to get one floor up.
Which is like, that's what it's like for the Burj Khalifa, over in Dubai.
But that's the whole building, not one floor.
True.
But yes.
Yeah. And theoretically, it's a big space station, that could be a long lift, but...
And they made it entertaining with the radio and stuff while you're in the elevator as well, and the conversations that would happen.
Yeah, they took it as an opportunity for more content.
It was to hide a loading screen.
Yep.
It's like things are happening, but that's actually just the game saving resources so that it can load the next part of the game.
Yep.
And there are so many little things like that throughout it where you're walking and you're like, it's kind of weird that that's there. And then after the fact, you realize that
it's just a line of sight
that didn't make any sense for it to be there, like that wall in the middle of a bridge for no reason. That's actually there to hide the rest of the level so they can load it while you're not looking.
Yep. Like I remember with the elevators specifically in the Citadel sort of thing, they ended up in the remastered, ended up having to patch it in that you had to have a button that allowed you to exit the elevator so you could sit there and listen to the dialogue, because now with the loading times being so short, it wouldn't actually load, or it would cut off halfway through when they're having a conversation. So you actually had to put in a button that manually triggered the next one.
These like news reports you can hear in the elevator, so you just had a bit of entertainment in there, and then they realized that actually those are too long for the loading times, so now there's a button to skip them.
It's really interesting, like the kind of problems that they've solved and then end up having to face later. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for tonight. So we're gonna say goodbye.
Yeah, we'll follow up on Zahra's Mass Effect journey in the future. And see how
we'll check in. We'll check in.
Going through it.
Next time in the studio, you can be like, hey Zahra, how's
the Mass Effect? Have you finished one level yet? Have you gotten through game 1?
And I'll be like, no, I don't know.
Who's died? Who's not died? What choices were made at this point?
So this is Zed Games. You have all been fabulous, and now we say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Good night.
And I love you.
Good night.
I love you.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games. If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app,
or find us on socials at Zed Games AU.
See you next time.